Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television, from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Today on Helping Seniors TV, how a public adjuster helps homeowners.
I'm Kerry Fink with Helping Seniors of Brevard, and welcome to Helping Seniors Television. This is the program that helps you get your ducks in a row. That's kind of been our theme. We're a Florida nonprofit, and we're all about helping you. And we always have this saying that we use. It said, if you're in our area of Florida, we're literally 1 in 4 people who live here in Brevard County is over the age of 65. And actually, if you want to use the AARP definition, 1 in 2 people is over the age of 50, which they call a senior. So we often say if you live in Brevard County, you either are a senior, you love and care for a senior, God willing, you're going to be a senior soon enough. So there's a lot of information in here that we hope to give to you that will help you as you develop your own aging plan. Now, our president and founder, Joe Steckler, he has always talked about that. Helping Seniors is now into our 12th year of service here locally. We're a local charity in the Brevard County area. And he's always talked about the need for people getting a plan together for aging. And I just want to take a moment to talk about that too, from the standpoint that, when we're kids, they say, what do you want to be? What's your plan when you grow up? What are you going to be? Are you going to need to go to school? What kind of school do you need to go to? And then when you get older, they say, well, what's your plan? Are you going to send your kids to college? Where are you going to retire? How are you going to do that? And then they even talk about a retirement plan. And oftentimes what they mean by that is like, well, where do you have your money? Do you have stocks and bonds? Are you going to change this around? How are you going to do when you retire? But they're really talking about your money. When we say aging plan, what we're really talking about is what are some of the bumps in the road that you could run into. Here in Florida, we understand all about a hurricane plan. That's you hope the hurricane doesn't arrive here, but it could, and so we need to be prepared. And with aging, it's a little bit the same thing. We don't know exactly what the bumps are in the road, but at Helping Seniors, with 12 years of service in the community, operating the community senior information helpline, we get a lot of calls from people in different situations. So over time, we've been able to figure out these are things that happen an awful lot to seniors, and we want to help you basically mitigate or get across some of those areas as easy as possible. And so that's what we're dedicated to. This year we've called it Get Your Ducks in a Row, and it's really about helping you develop that aging plan. And so we need to get information that helps us secure that. And one of the topics that we're going to cover today, which is absolutely a fascinating one, because if you're like me, you have insurance. You have homeowners insurance if you own a home. They send you a renewal. Hopefully they send you a renewal. And it has all these pages and pages and pages, and often it's on the thinnest of paper because there's so many pages and they don't want it to look like a phone book. But it has all these things, limitations, exclusions, and things like that. And you think, well, I've got a good policy, and something happens in the home. And then all of a sudden, there you are against the entire team that the insurance company has. And while they probably don't mean for it to be adversarial, and you certainly don't mean for it to be adversarial, you just want to get your home fixed, what ends up happening is you're literally a David versus Goliath trying to attack a problem and get things fixed that you may not have the knowledge or the resources on how to do. And so that is why we're going to talk with Cristin Taylor today. Kristin is what they call a public adjuster, and she works with an organization called Coastal Claim Systems. Hey, Kristin, how are you?
Good. How are you, Kerry?
I am good. And this is why this conversation is so fascinating to me, is because, oftentimes, even when you've had a policy for years, they just send you, oh, here's your renewal bill, which almost universally is more than the year before, right?
Definitely.
But also they include a couple of sheets. Oh, this is an amendment to your policy.
Correct. Okay.
And we don't know. We just throw that in the trash because what we're concerned, I got to pay this much premium. But there's so much to this insurance side that most of us don't know. In fact, I didn't even really understand what the term public adjuster was until I'd sat down with you. And I wanted to ask you about that. It's kind of interesting. You said that you sort of started on the insurance company side, got a lot of training in that, and then you kind of made the jump over to now you really sit on the homeowner side. Can you just talk about your background and how you got to this?
Yeah, so since Hurricane Irma, which is back in 2017, is when I and my husband first started doing field adjusting, which is working for the homeowner, or I'm sorry, for the insurance carrier, and presenting an estimate for what the damages are. And as you get further away from a huge storm, the companies start to be a little more, let's say, they're coveting their premiums a little bit more. And therefore, the process for a homeowner is more tedious. And I started to see that with the field adjuster. So not only were they cutting the homeowner out of their due indemnification for their home, but they're also cutting us out and saying, well, you asked us to be an expert. We presented what we thought was an expert opinion of what needed to be repaired. And so it gets frustrating to see the homeowner frustrated, us frustrated, and then the carrier being, again, not combative, but difficult, to defer, deny something. So I learned a lot on that end, learned a lot about what you need to put together in order to make something translatable. So someone who sits down with no experience can look at that and know exactly what's going on with your home. You just kind of hold their hand in the process. And from that, learning how to do that well, I thought, well, why am I working against the homeowner? Why don't I work for the homeowner? Why don't I work for me? Why don't I do what I do best, which is advocate, ask questions, push the limits a little bit, well, why can't you? Why not? This doesn't seem reasonable. And also involve teams together. I like to collaborate with people, and that's kind of how it brought me over here. Public insurance adjusting is representing the homeowner for their indemnification when they have a property loss. So if a homeowner is not aware of what the cost of their damages are going to cost to repair, or what their policy reads, how are they going to advocate for themselves?
Right.
There's no fight there.
Right, and that was the point that I was going to bring up. Is it seems to me like when you're the homeowner, you call the insurance company because you think you have the claim, and then they send somebody out to take a look, and you really want to believe that they are on your side with your best interest in mind. But at the end of the day, they really are on the insurance company's side of it. I'm not saying they don't want to be fair or whatever, but at the end of the day, they work for the insurance company. They're not working for you. And yet that's what you do, right? You come in and you work for the homeowner.
Yes, I act as though I am the homeowner. And what would I want in this situation? What was missed or what was left untouched? Like there's a woman right now that I'm working with. She had a claim last summer, and she got a decent amount of money. You would think this is an adequate amount to do the repair, but luckily she asked me about reviewing it, and I noticed, well, you called in a mold claim. You had mold in your home, you're reporting that. Well, what did they do to mitigate the mold? She didn't know what I was talking about.
Wow.
And therefore, when I brought in people with detection of moisture, they had cameras and molds and air swabs, they found what she ended up finding out from her doctor. Even before we hired the mitigation company and the mold company, she found out she had TMS, which would, she thought, I don't have COVID, what is this about? I have no idea. I can't get rid of this cough. Her doctor said she had TMS. Then I got the mold people in there right away, and then we confirmed everything that the doctor was saying. And now I got that out of there. Now, did she need to suffer that? That could have been taken care of months ago, and the insurance company needs to take care of that. They need to treat a customer as though they have a valid issue when they say, I have mold, let's look at this. And not only that, they missed rooms. They didn't take care of certain rooms. And someone who is managing a big home by themselves, having damage, having all these people come in their house and having to coordinate all these things. I do that for them now. Wow. I help out, I coordinate with her on everything. And I don't have to, but because I care for her outcome, I do. And I'm slowly handing things off to her. And it's kind of nice because she's like, well, I think I can handle this now. And I'm like, I think you can too, because we've talked about it. We've worked together. We have a plan together. We look at what money she had existing and what we needed to do, and kind of budgeted out what could be done now and what needed to wait. So going back to just helping someone out, in my point of view, is the most important part. Yeah. Looking at it from my perspective.
Well, right. You have the experience, the knowledge, and the ability to basically, and I don't mean it like combatively, but you can go toe to toe with somebody at the insurance company because you understand the language. You also understand the policy, which goes probably well beyond most of us who pay an insurance premium. We just say, well, I thought I paid for this, right?
And when you say toe to toe, I think some people think you're going to get angry with someone. Well, it's just understanding the process. So like, there's some people, they'll tell me now, I'm like, okay, thanks. I understand that I'm not going to have that argument or that debate with you. I'm going to wait till the next step or the next step, and then I'm going to kind of understand where your stance is, and then build up my case, and then move on from there.
Right.
So a homeowner is got a vested and emotional interest sometimes that they can't get past the adversarial relationship that some people I work with that I meet, and they're just not nice people.
Wow.
And that's not like, they're looking for every reason to deny what the homeowner has. So why is that? Like, I don't need to be treated like that.
Yeah.
I'll just get past that and move on.
So somebody should give you a call as a public adjuster, because you're going to basically be looking at it from what's fair, but what's fair from the homeowner's perspective of view, considering what the insurance contract says and all that. When do you encourage people to give you a call? At what point in time to say, like, oh, this is happening, I need to give Kristin a call?
Well, almost every claim that someone has given to me, let me take care of them for them, that they have already tried to pursue on their own, that comes back to me, is typically a cobweb of things to weed through. Sure. So it's a difficult situation, but it's something the challenge that I like. So that's, if you've been denied for something, that's a great time. But the best time is when you first start off, because I can advise you where you have coverage, where you don't have coverage, what part, like we talked last time we met about limitations. So limitations cover certain aspects of a loss, but something in that loss might trigger another coverage that's on another page of your policy, and we have to explore all that. Does a homeowner know that off the bat? Well, no. I don't always know that off the bat until I investigate the whole thing. But the best time, the cleanest time, is at the time of a loss.
So let me ask you this question, because we were actually having that conversation, is that when is the right time maybe to even begin calling your insurance company? Like, I mean, it's pretty clear, your roof comes off, something big happens, and you gotta call them. But there's stuff that comes up from time to time, like you were explaining a story before the camera was rolling, of one particular case that you were helping somebody that was dealing with a situation, but they didn't realize it was going as far as it did, so they didn't know that they had a bigger, had potentially a bigger claim that, mold remediation and things needed to come into play. When do you tell a homeowner, like, now is the right time to call, and should they call you first?
I mean, as far as placing the claim?
Yes.
My advice is free. So I can, I can talk to them, and of course I always want to work for them, that's how I make my money, but at the same time, I have a client now I'm like, I'm not sure that I want to, put my dog in the fight for this. I have to be honest with her and let her know, like, we're not going to pursue something. But on the other end, when I have a client contact me in the beginning, then I can go through that policy. I can advise them where to go, who to talk to, and they can go ahead and file it on their own with even some of my advice, and then see what their result is. If the result is something they feel comfortable or not comfortable, they can bring it back to me, and I can look at it again for them and let them know where to go from there. Because I have access to the market condition software, all the roofers. I have great contacts and let them know we could get you something better, or we could get you something sooner, or something like that.
So if somebody is actually thinking about maybe giving you a call about a potential claim, I guess a question is, is this a costly process? Does somebody like have to write a big check up front to get the benefit of your services, or how does it work if somebody says, "Listen, I'd like to have, Cristin Taylor, a public adjuster, Coastal Claim Systems, help me work my way through this"? Is this costly?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because there's no out-of-pocket expenses for the homeowner.
Okay.
There is a commission in the end towards the total payout. So if I don't yield a result for you that you like, then I don't make my money as well. And at any time a homeowner isn't happy with what's going on, they can withdraw from the contract at any time. But in that time, they're gaining knowledge as I'm moving along and explaining things to them. The knowledge that they gain is something that I want them to feel comfortable in the end, that they've been educated and maybe can do this again next time on their own, or hopefully I've impressed them enough to come to me. But so when they have their damages and they have all estimates, I make sure that the clients have estimates to know what their actual repairs are going to cost. And we're going to work with those estimates. We're going to work with the insurance company, let them know what they need. I'm going to present an estimate to the insurance company, and we work within that realm and that wheelhouse of what is realistic, what is needed, and then what we do to leave the homeowner fully indemnified so they can repair things properly. And so it's that's the negotiation process. So
at the end of the day, from a kind of a consumer's point of view, you would argue that, number one, it's not going to cost you up front to give Kristin a call.
Correct.
Go over the situation. It's not even going to cost you anything as you work through the process. It's only in the case where you've been successful at resolving it.
Correct.
That then you guys get paid, but also you're going to have the ability to have real expert help moving through it. And I guess one of the things that we've all been maybe even a bit surprised here in Florida is, just the price of repairs and things are going up dramatically. So I guess another advantage is because you're on top of the market situations and you know how things are fluctuating, you're going to make sure that the settlement is going to be worked in a way that is going to solve the problem for the homeowner, that we didn't settle for something that won't help us get the situation resolved.
yeah, and you want to make sure when you're dealing with the insurance company that you're not asking a ridiculous amount, so they're like, this person is unreasonable. You want to make sure you have proof of what you need and why you need it. At the same time, you don't want to leave money due to you on the table because you were not willing to ask for it. So having all that information collected is important, and know the homeowner does not pay anything until we have a comfortable resolution. And there's a process. We go through the typical 90-day process is us and the carrier, the homeowner, the public adjuster, and the carrier. But then we move through a process called mediation. That's not a cost to the homeowner. There's also an option for appraisal. That is a cost to the homeowner. However, we typically absorb that fee through our public adjusting fees. And then even if you need to go to litigation, the attorney will not charge you unless it's a contingency-based fee as well.
So I guess the point is, as a consumer, you get the advantage of having somebody that really understands all sides of the claim, right? You understand what the language is in the insurance contract. You understand what the need is in terms of the covered loss, what's actually happening there. And then you're able to walk with the consumer through the process as needed to get them to hopefully a satisfactory response, all of which nobody's paying anything up front for. It's only being, when it works on the backside, that you're helping them. That's a terrific offer. Why would anybody go this alone? Probably because they don't know you guys exist, right?
Definitely, and I love your summary. Thank you for that. You did a great job in explaining the fact that there's really no risk for the homeowner to hire us, our team. myself.
So there's really no
Yeah.
downside to the consumer, because really at the end of the day, you're getting experience at interpreting what
Yeah.
your policy actually covers, right? Which if I pull out mine, I don't know. I can read the words, but I'm not sure
Right.
it all calculates
Okay.
right. Number two, you have, because you're in the space every day, you have expertise about what's going on with what it actually costs to repair or fix the situation that the homeowners run into. And then third, there's no real out-of-pocket or anything that happens until you're successful at working through a resolution that's going to help move
Right.
this whole situation forward.
So when you're talking about the risk to the homeowner, there's very little risk for them to explore the avenue of using someone who is a public adjuster.
Yeah.
A lot of people have hesitancy to make claims on their policy because they're afraid of their premium going up or they're afraid of being dropped. Well, you pay this company
Right.
to help you protect your home in the case of a loss. And if
Right.
if they aren't willing to pay you, you aren't willing to use it, then you're just giving your money away, and you
Right.
might as well put it in an account for when you do need it. And that's kind of a good way to think about insurance. Like, you're going to hold on, insurance company, to my money until I need it. And now I'm asking you for it to help me out to repair my home, and these are the reasons why.
Right.
And let's make a reasonable case about why we need that.
So if somebody is looking at this, you wrote an article, have written articles actually, that we publish in the Senior Scene magazine. We do, we call it the Yellow Pages in the center of Senior Scene magazine, where we publish our Helping Seniors newsletter monthly. And we're always looking for information that is going to help seniors make the best decisions. And like we've been talking about, you shared some insight about some things that are important for seniors to know. Like, one of the things that that we were talking about was it's important to get on a claim when you think you have a claim pretty reasonably on a tight time frame, right?
The insurance company requests that, and it's part of the agreements with them. Now, as of the most recent Florida change in the Senate bill, or in the bills, you have 2 years to go back on a claim. That is a difficult process still. They still make it more difficult. They send you letters, well, why didn't you do this? Well, most people don't know when they have roof damage, because they don't go up on the roof on a periodic basis, and they don't know until there's water damage. So let's say a year later, you start to see water damage, because things do deteriorate. Shingles lift, they set back down, water gets under them, the stronger the winds come through, and then you start to get a leak. Well, now you go back and you investigate that. It makes it a little more difficult to process that. But knowing certain laws is not going to be a homeowner's expertise. When I look at a policy with a homeowner, we kind of explore where the coverage is, where it isn't. I had to advise a client the other day that her home was underinsured.
Wow.
So if she had a fire, there's no way she could replace the home. I mean, and that's extreme circumstance, of course. So I don't necessarily know their situation when they first start shopping insurance, but when they have a loss, I can tell them what they're covered for and not covered for.
That's another thing that you brought up too, is that homeowners need to look out for changes to the insurance policy, that you get a renewal in the mail, and you, like I said, I'd probably just take that little piece of paper that says, here's some changes, and we always just crumple it up and toss it in the trash can and focus in on, I got to pay this much by this date. But you've said that could be dangerous, because some of the exclusions that come in to policies that have been written for a while. Like, give me an example. I know you talked about water changes being one of those.
Yeah, and that's a great question for me to answer about the water exclusion. So it's a limitation. So you might get your policy back in the mail, set it aside, and just like you said, look at the premium. But they might have put in a two sentence line about your limitations for water damage being at $10,000. It's very typical, because older homes, 15 years or more, will typically have that slipped in.
Wow.
Because a lot of, especially here in our area, older homes have cast iron pipes. So therefore they decay and they clog and they cause backup and they cause a lot of repair damage. So there's a part in your policy where you have water damage to your property, but then there's also, if you know where to look for it, you can tell if someone has to repair that pipe, that they have money to replace everything that they've damaged in the home.
Right.
So let's say you had to dig through the slab and repair that pipe. Well, you have to go through that floor. They're not going to pay for the pipe, but they're going to pay for the floor.
Okay.
But who knows that unless you know where to look for the coverage.
That's the question.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Also, whether you have recoverable or non-recoverable depreciation, that's important to know. Depreciation is something that's held back. When they estimate your damage, if something's worth $10,000 and they hold back $2,000, recoverable will come back to you once your repairs are done, and non-recoverable does not come back to you. That's called actual cash value. So those are things that people, and those will start to change as Florida goes through legislation changes. The insurance company is asking for more permission to have non-recoverable depreciation.
So this is so much to know that you don't know. And Kristin, if somebody has been intrigued by what they've been learning and they need to give you a call, what's the best number to reach you at so that folks can say, hey, here's what I'm looking at, can you help me?
Right. Well, thanks for asking that. I like to be available by my cell phone at all times at 321-537-9180. You can reach me at my email, which is my name, Kristin, Kristin, at coastalclaims.net.
All right. Well, Kristin, this has been a wealth of information. Thank you for the service that you're doing helping seniors and people. So at least they understand where they are in the whole process, and want to encourage you to really review this material. Make it part of your aging plan. So the next time something's coming up, you give a call, get yourself a public adjuster, and have somebody fighting on your side of the game, as it were. We'll see you next time on Helping Seniors of Brevard TV.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.